Okay, guys, chapter 14, rolling right along. Okay, here we go. You look like you are lost. Monday morning, the classroom was filled with paper bags and boxes and props to be used in the play. Everyone was showing off their costumes and the other stuff they'd bought. One of the parents had made hats for all the kids who were mice in the woods, baseball caps with little mouse ears on them and whiskers sticking off of the brim, and a long tail trailing off the back of the hat. Sam Marchand had put on his cape with the awesome skull and was swirling it around. "Can I see your costume?" Ellen Holmes asked me. I pulled out the pointy cap and put it on. "That's cute," she said. Boogers. I know she didn't mean it in a bad way, but I didn't want to be cute. I didn't want to be nice either, which is why I did what I did. I know I should have never listened to my older brother, but he seemed to have a magical power over me as strong as the evil sorcerer Kragon. After lunch, Mrs. Burke had told everyone to sit in a circle. Excuse me. "Today we're just going to go over our lines as quickly as we can," she said. "We're not going to stop for anything. If you get stuck, say, 'line,' and I'll help you. But other than that, just keep going. No questions, no complaints. This way we'll find out where the problems are." The scene in the castle went smoothly. The prince and the princess and their servants set off into the forest to search for the magic rabbit. When the nice gnome was supposed to speak, I didn't say anything. "Charlie," Mrs. Burke said. "Line," I said. Mrs. Burke seemed surprised, but she called it out. "You look like you are lost." "You look like you are lost," I repeated. Samantha was already rolling her eyes. Deshaun was the prince, and he said, "We are lost. We'll never get out of the woods and find the magic talking rabbit of Gorlandia." I knew the next line, but I didn't say anything. "Charlie," Mrs. Burke said. "Line," I said. Samantha's eyes looked like they were going to roll out of her head. Mrs. Burke gave me the line and I said it. Samantha was so busy being disgusted with me that she forgot to say her next line. Mrs. Burke waited. "We have a long way to go," Samantha finally said. "We can't even get out of the woods, and we have to find the sorcerer's castle." Mrs. Burke gave me a weird look. Maybe I'd gone too far. Matt was a bozo to think this plan would work. He didn't have to live in Mrs. Burke's empire. I decided I'd better stop messing up. But now I was confused. I honestly couldn't remember my next line. I had my script, and even though we weren't supposed to look at it, I did. But the pages were all out of order, so I just said, "Don't worry, we'll get there." I knew it was wrong, so did everyone else. "That's not your line," Samantha hissed. It got very quiet in the room. I stared down at the floor. When I snuck a glance at Mrs. Burke, she was glaring at me. "Charlie doesn't know any of his lines," Samantha said. Pow! Mrs. Burke snapped her fingers just once. Everyone held their breath. "Charlie," Mrs. Burke said, "you can go back to your desk for now. I'll read the nice gnome's lines." I got up from the circle and went back to my desk. The class went on rehearsing with Mrs. Burke reading my part. I got a book out of my desk and pretended to read, but I couldn't. I was listening to everyone do their parts. Everyone was doing a good job, except for me. I was not the nice gnome, not anymore. When they finished rehearsing, Mrs. Burke told everyone to get ready to go home. Then she stood in the doorway. "Charlie," she said, "please come here." "You're in so much trouble," Samantha said. "Good luck, Charlie," Ellen Holmes whispered. Hector cleaned off his glasses. I got to the door and Mrs. Burke turned to the class. "Get your things together, everyone. I'll be watching." Then she motioned with her exploding bony fingers for me to follow her into the hall. "Charlie," she said, "there is no excuse for what you have been doing." I looked down the hallway to avoid looking at Mrs. Burke. "You are ruining the play. You knew your part perfectly during the last rehearsal, but today you didn't even try. I'm very disappointed in you." "I don't like my part," I mumbled. "I don't want to be the nice gnome." "Why not?" I struggled. It was hard to explain. Can't someone else do it? Who? She asked. Who's going to do it? Josh? No, Josh has a part that's right for him. I don't think anyone else could do the gnome part as well as you can. Or like I thought you could. This is your part, Charlie. What's the problem? I couldn't tell her I didn't want to be the nice guy and wear a dorky costume. It would have been so much easier to be a bad guy, like the evil sorcerer Kragon. No one would have made fun of the bad guy. Charlie? I wanted a different part. Why? The nice gnome is one of the most important roles in the play. But the nice gnome is just so... I couldn't explain to her. Tell me, she said, looking right at me, are you worried about being too nice? Buggers! How did she figure it out? Sort of, I mumbled. Charlie, you are not the nice gnome. You are just acting out the part. And besides, this play is not about you. It is about everyone working together on something. Your classmates are depending on you. Now I felt really crummy. She gave my shoulder a little squeeze. You have 3 days to turn this around, and I suggest you start doing it right now. Now get back into class and get ready to go home. I turned to head back into our room. Charlie, Mrs. Burke said, I don't need you to be a perfect nice gnome. I just need you to be a fairly friendly one who knows his lines. When we lined up to go home, Hector tapped me on the shoulder. If you need help with your lines, let me know. Thanks, I said. Chapter 15, The Biggest Bozo on the Planet. The squid talked all the way home from the bus stop. We're going to see your play on Friday night. Mrs. Diaz told our whole class we should see it. She gave us a handout so we could remember by giving it to our parents. That didn't make me feel any better. When I walked in and Ginger jumped up on me for the millionth time, that made me feel even worse. Matt wasn't in the kitchen. Would someone else please walk Ginger? I yelled. I heard Matt call from his bedroom. No! I'll walk her, the squid said. You're still too little, I said. No, I'm not, she said. I grew even more. I can walk her. I'll even do it for free. I thought about Mabel walking Ginger all the way around the block. It was too far. And what if they ran into Lovey Doodle, or the dumb cats and the cat lady, or even worse, the squirrels? Plus, Mom always said Matt and I weren't supposed to let Mabel go anywhere unless we were with her. Please, Charlie, I can do it. I'll just walk her down to the corner and back. I thought about that. It seemed like a pretty good idea. If Ginger pooped quickly like she did the other day, they could just come right back. I could look out the front door and check on them. If Ginger didn't do her business, then I'd just have to take her on a regular walk. Just to the end of the block, I asked. Yes. And if she poops, you'll pick it up? She frowned. I don't want to pick up the poop. Okay, I'll pay you $1 if she poops and you pick it up. Her eyebrows went up. A whole $1? But only if she poops and you pick it up, because if she doesn't, I'll still have to walk her. The squid twisted her mouth around, thinking, okay, for a whole $1, I'll do it. Okay, I said, it's a deal. Can I have the $1 now? All this time, Ginger was barking and jumping around. I took an old plastic shopping bag from the drawer and handed it to the squid. Get the $1, she said. I ran upstairs to my room and got a $1 out of my desk. I hurried back and held it out for the squid. Leave it on the table, she said, and don't touch it. She'd already taken the leash down and put it on Ginger's collar. Ginger, sit, I said. She sat at the door and looked up at us. Her tail was waggling, like it would fall off. If she pulls too much, I said, just give her a big tug and yell, Ginger, no. Okay, I'm ready. The squid was holding onto the leash with both hands. I watched them walk down the driveway with Ginger sniffing and straining at the leash. No, Ginger, no, the squids shouted. They zigzagged down the sidewalk. I hoped everything would be okay. Every few seconds, I stuck my head out the front door to see how she was doing. Matt came into the kitchen and saw me standing in the doorway. Where's Mabel? He asked. Walking Ginger, I said. What? Matt looked at me like I was crazy. Mabel's walking Ginger. Why? She said she wanted to, so I let her. You're an idiot, Matt said. Mabel can't control that crazy dog. It'll be okay, I said. She's just walking to the end of the street, and I'm checking on her real often. You'd better go help her, Matt said. He started for the refrigerator. Then he saw the money on the table. Whose is this? Mabel's. Wait a minute. Did you pay Mabel to walk Ginger? So? Charlie, that was mega stupid. No, it wasn't, I said. It's going to be okay. Just then, we heard someone running up the driveway. The squid burst through the kitchen door holding the leash. Help, she said. Ginger got away. She pulled too hard, and the leash didn't work. Oh, man. Matt gave me a Buck Meeson electron stare. Mom and Dad are going to kill all of us. It's not my fault. The squid's eyes filled with tears. Ginger crossed the street, and I was only supposed to go to the end of the block, so I couldn't run after her. Matt was really mad, and the squid was crying, and I was the biggest bozo on the planet. Let's go, Matt said. He slipped on his jacket. We've got to find her. We opened the door and headed down the porch steps, and Mom pulled in the driveway. Mom drove slowly down the street with Matt in the front and the squid and me in the back. We all looked out the windows, trying to catch sight of Ginger. Mom turned the corner at the end of our block. This is the way she went, Mabel? Uh-huh, Mabel said, still sniffling. I couldn't stop her. It's okay, sweetie, Mom said. We'll find her. She didn't even look at me. It made me feel even worse. We drove around our block twice. Then Mom headed toward the next street over. When Matt had told Mom what had happened and Mabel had tried to explain, I hadn't said anything. I knew it was all my fault. It was very quiet in the car. I just kept praying we would see Ginger. If she was lost, I didn't know what I'd do. After about half an hour, Mom pulled into a driveway and turned around. Well, we've done what we can. We'll just have to go home. I'll call around to our neighbors and ask if anyone has seen her. But we have to find her, the squid wailed. We will, Mom said. She was saying that because she was the mom, but I could tell she was worried too. When we got to our house, Dad's car was in the driveway. Now I was going to be in trouble with everyone. I want Ginger, Mabel whispered. I wish I could help get her back. Everybody went inside, but I stayed in the car. What if we never found Ginger? If only it was like in the play and we had the nice gnome or the magic rabbit to help us. There had to be a way to... Suddenly I knew what to do, and I was the only one who could do it. Why hadn't I thought of it before? I jumped out of the car and ran to the sidewalk in front of our house. I put my fingers in my mouth and blew. I blew and blew and blew until my mouth hurt. I waited and listened, but I didn't hear anything but a car honking somewhere. Even my special Uncle Ron whistle wasn't working. Ginger was gone. I tried one last time just to make sure. Then I heard a bark. I looked down the street in the direction of the grits box yard. A big brown and black dog was running toward me as fast as she could. Ginger! I knelt down to catch her and she knocked me over. I hugged her and she licked my face. You dumb dog! I nuzzled her furry neck. I didn't care if she was a dumb dog. She was home. When I opened the back door, Ginger ran in and the squid let out her excited squeal. Mom covered her mouth and looked like she was going to cry. Dad put his arm around her. Even Matt, who'd said he only wanted a python, got down and gave Ginger a hug. How'd you find her? Dad asked. I whistled, I said. Only Charlie can whistle like that, the squid said. She only comes for Charlie. In the middle of our celebration, the phone in the kitchen rang. My mom picked it up. Hello? Yes. Hi, Connie. Oh, yes, she's home. Oh, no, really? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, good. Then she laughed. No, don't you touch it. I'll send Charlie down right away. She hung up the phone. That was Mrs. Gritchbach. Uh-oh. She called to see if Ginger was home. She said Ginger had been in the yard and she had answered the call of nature, Dad said. Yes, right in front of their house. But Mr. Gritzbach isn't home yet. So, Charlie, if you hurry down there, you can clean it up before he gets back. Okay. I grabbed a plastic bag from the drawer. See you later, Poopmeister, Matt said. I was so happy to have Ginger back, I didn't mind being the Poopmeister. That's Master Poopmeister to you, I said, heading out the door. I got the mess cleaned up before Mr. Grootsbach saw it, but I don't have to tell you I did get a lecture when I got back. Actually, I got a bunch of lectures. I got a lecture from my mom. I got a lecture from my dad. They both made me apologize to the squid. I apologized, and I meant it. I figured I wouldn't ask about watching Buck Meeson for a couple of weeks. It seemed like a bad idea. Matt told me it was the dumbest thing I had ever done. And for someone who's a total dorkhead, he said, that is really, really dumb. Only the squid stood up for me. It's not fair, she said to Mom and Dad. It's not Charlie's fault the leash didn't work. The leash is not the point, Dad said. It was Charlie's responsibility to walk the dog. He looked at me. He knew Mabel was too little. I knew Dad was right, so I couldn't argue. Ginger just licked my face. She wasn't mad at me. That's why you have a dog. Chapter 16, That Kid with the Beard. We had rehearsals on Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon. Things went pretty well, but I was still having trouble with my long speech. Tommy and Hector went over my lines with me after rehearsal. Wednesday night, I even asked Matt to help me practice. This is a dumb play, he said. You don't have to tell me that, I said. Okay, he said, I won't tell you it's a dumb play, even though it is. But then he read all the lines really well, so I began to think he had just said it was dumb because he had to, since he was my older brother. Thursday was the day for the dress rehearsal. That morning when I got into class, everyone was crowded around Crystal Medorios' desk. There was an animal cage on it, and Killer was inside. Kids from my class were on their knees, peering in and sticking their fingers through the mesh wire. Can I hold Killer? Alex asked, just for a minute? Everyone chimed in, all wanting to do the same thing. Mrs. Burke was watching. I don't think we should take the rabbit out during the class. My dad said I could take him out of the cage once or twice, Crystal said, but I have to hold him. You can pet him, though. Please, Mrs. Burke? Trevor asked. All right, then, Mrs. Burke said, but I want everyone to sit on the floor and let Crystal bring the rabbit around. In 5 minutes, Killer goes back in his cage. Crystal took Killer out of the cage. She held him tight to her body and let everyone pat his head and sighed. He had hilarious long ears that drooped down the side of his head, and his nose was twitching like something was tickling it. That afternoon, Mrs. Burke sent the kids with costumes to the girls' and boys' rooms down the hall to get dressed. Mrs. Berman, Lydia's mother, came in to help. She kept knocking on the boys' bathroom door to tell us to hurry up. Some people can't help being parents, even when they're in school. When I came out of the bathroom, Mrs. L's class was coming back from the library. Darren Thompson stopped and pointed at me. Oh, great. Looky, 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 he said. It's little pointy-headed troll. I went on past the line of kids, ignoring him. Hi, Charlie, said Tommy, giving me a thumbs up. Cool costume. Tracy Hazlitt was staring at me. What are you? She asked. The, nice gnome, I muttered. She nodded and smiled. I thought I was going to throw up a little. We had almost made it to the safety inside the gym when Larry Ledoux, the mean 5th grader, saw us. Look at the dorky outfits, he said, especially that kid with the beard. Everyone into the gym, called Mrs. Burke. Line up in front of the stage. Miss Bromley, the art teacher, had helped the crew finish the set, and it was on the stage. When Mr. Turkin, the school custodian, turned on the colored lights overhead, it made everything look really beautiful. We went through the whole play. It took almost an hour because we had to stop 4 or 5 times. General Schuler, our new PE teacher, is so strict, I call him General Schuler, the intergalactic supreme commander of soccer balls, had to cancel his gym classes. He watched the whole thing with his arms folded, crossed his chest, and his eyebrows squinched up. He would have made a great angry gnome. Maybe because everyone was so excited, people kept making mistakes. There was so much noise, people couldn't hear Mrs. Burke's snapping fingers. She clapped her hands and called, "Pay attention, everyone!" Then it was time for the castle to be removed, but Joey and Alex weren't ready. "Where's the stage crew?" she shouted. "Alex, Joey, where are you?" I ran back behind the set. They were down on their knees looking at Killer in his cage. You guys, I said, hurry up. You're supposed to be moving the castle. Mrs. Burke is getting mad. Alex got up and looked around like he didn't know where the castle was. Over there, I pointed to the corner of the stage behind the curtain. I'd read the dumb play so many times I knew exactly where the castle was supposed to be. When I got home, I stopped in my tracks in front of the back steps. The squid was right behind me. Look, Charlie, she squealed, it's you! I couldn't believe it. A big plastic gnome was standing on the top step. It had an electric cord on it, so you could plug it in and it would light up. I wondered if Matt had put it there to terrorize me. Matt! I yelled. He stuck his head out the door and saw the gnome. Hey, where'd that come from? You didn't put it there? No, he said, but I wish I had. Then I saw the envelope taped to the gnome's head. It had Charlie written on it. There was a card inside. I opened it and read the note. Dear Charlie, thank you so much for helping me with Lovey Doodle. I spoke with your mother and understood you're in a big play. Since you're the nice gnome, I thought it might be fun for you to have one for your room. You can use it as a nightlight. Many thanks, Sharon Lapidus and Lovey Doodle. The nice gnome's cousin, said Matt. I wish I had a gnome, said Squid. That night, I set up the gnome in the corner of my room and plugged it in. With the other lights turned off, it glowed like one of those radioactive aliens Buck Meeson always paralyzes with his electron stare. I stood in front of the mirror over my chest of drawers, practicing my part. I kept saying the last line to my big speech over and over again. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. Matt came in the room. He had a bag and a stack of newspapers under his arm. What's that? I asked. The nice gnome might have to be nice, Matt said, but he can still be cool. What do you mean? Follow me. I followed him down the stairs, out the kitchen door, and into the open garage. He spread the newspapers on the concrete floor. What are you doing? I asked. He reached in the bag and pulled out a pair of dirty white sneakers. Size 5 shoes for the nice gnome, he said. These are my old ones, but gnomes have big feet. They're white, I said. They should be brown. No, they shouldn't, he said. What do you mean? Then he reached in the bag and pulled out a can of spray paint. The nice gnome shouldn't have brown pointy shoes. The nice gnome needs golden shoes. He put the shoes down on the newspaper and held out the can. Be my guest. I looked at him. Really? Really, he said. I took the can and sprayed Matt's old sneakers until they were completely gold. They looked amazing. This is so awesome, I said. Awesome shoes, Matt said. Awesome gnome. At the all-school meeting the next afternoon, we filed up onto the stage in our costumes. I was still a little nervous about being a gnome, with my dad's shorts flapping around and my beard and my pointy hat. But there were so many kids dressed up in all sorts of odd-looking outfits, I didn't really stick out. As I came out on stage with the rest of the class, Ellen Holmes was standing at the microphone, ready to tell everyone that they should come to the play. And then the squid saw me. She was sitting up toward the very front, wearing her purple gnome hat. Before Mrs. Diaz could stop her, my sister stood and said, Charlie's a nice gnome. He's a really nice gnome, and he's wearing the gold shoes that Matt gave him. Everyone cracked up. I heard Tommy hoot. Hector poked me. Samantha rolled her eyes. Brady Bernhardt, a crazy first grader with this weird croaky voice, yelled, Cool shoes, Charlie. So, I wonder what's going to happen next. You'll have to come back.